Hey fam, and welcome to episode 3 of my series called Hella Health. As I've done in all of my other episodes, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and get a drink of water. I just got this for Christmas, this cool mason jar with the straw on the top. This is tea. Pause the video and go get yourself a drink of water now. Thank you very much. In the previous episode, I told you that there are 3 main categories of theories that health promotion people use to try to convince people to alter their health behavior, and we talked about one of the models in one of the categories. I told you about a theory that is in the category of intrapersonal, and in this episode, we are going to talk about some theories that are in the category of interpersonal and community. One of the theories that is in the interpersonal category is the social cognitive theory, also known as the SCT. In brief, it says that the social environment, the personal characteristics of the individual, and behavior interact and influence each other. It says that reinforcement contributes to learning, but the combination of reinforcement plus expectations of the behavior's consequences is what determines the behavior. This theory, unlike the other ones presented so far, there is no diagram that shows the interrelationship of its constructs, but this model basically has several constructs that it says play into what will determine the behavior. Behavioral capability is knowledge and skills necessary to perform a behavior. So if people are going to exercise aerobically, they need to know what it is and how to do it. Expectations is beliefs about the likely outcomes of certain behaviors. So if people enroll in a weight loss program, they expect to lose weight. Expectancies are values that people place on expected outcomes. So how important is it to people that they become physically fit? That's their expectancy of it. Locus of control is perception of the center of control over reinforcement. So you have internal locus of control if you believe you have control of your behavior and outcomes of the behavior. And external locus of control means that you think an external force outside of yourself has control over your behavior and the outcomes of that behavior. Observational learning plays in because it is learning by watching others. So an example of that is provide the target population with the opportunity to watch others modeling the desired behavior. Reinforcement is responses to behaviors that increase the chances of recurrence. So that would be like giving verbal encouragement to those who do the behavior that you want them to do. Give them positive feedback, like, good job, I'm really proud of you, you're doing really well. Self-control or self-regulation is defined as gaining control over one's own behavior through monitoring and adjusting it. So this is all about being self-aware and really, how am I doing, what's working, what's not. So if clients want to change their eating habits, have them monitor their current eating habits for 7 days and then notice what's working, what's not, what are my habits, what do I need to change, what am I good at, things like that. Collective efficacy means beliefs about the ability of the group to perform concerted actions that bring desired outcomes. So this is kind of like that belief that the individual can do something about it, but it's now pertaining to the group. So if a group is going to work to change their community's cultural attitudes towards healthy behavior, they must feel that they can do it. And the last construct is emotional coping response. For people to learn, they must be able to deal with the sources of anxiety that surround a behavior. Fear is an emotion that can be involved in learning, and people would have to deal with it before they can learn a behavior. So any kind of change in behavior or habits or lifestyle will definitely come with some stress and fear of what if this doesn't work, or what am I going to be losing. So the person's ability to cope with that emotional response and find supports to help them through this will definitely play into the behaviors and the outcomes of it. So the social cognitive theory says that all of these constructs that I've just listed, all of these things, all of these constructs will play into and affect whether or not the person or group is going to do the behavior, how well they're going to do it, how good the outcome of it is going to be, etc., etc., etc. And that theory falls into the interpersonal category. Now we're going to talk about a community theory example, and the example I'm going to talk about is the diffusion theory. This one's really interesting because it doesn't just pertain to like health, behaviors, and innovations. It applies to pretty much everything in the consumer market, and just this one's really cool. This theory provides an explanation for the diffusion of innovations in populations. So when people become consumers of an innovation or product or anything like that, they are referred to as adopters of that innovation or product. These categories are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. And the rate at which people become adopters can be represented by the bell-shaped curve. So this is really cool. It's actually, it's not like set in stone that this specific percentage of the population is going to fall into this category of adopters, but it's like a general guideline, and it's really cool. So it says that about 3% of the population are going to be your innovators, who are the first to adopt an innovation, and they don't care what other people have said previously about it. They just want to try it because they're venturing and daring, and they just want to try it. So these people are not a lot of the population. Only like 3% of them are going to try it just because they want to be the first to try it. And then, later on, early adopters are about 13, 14-ish% of the population. These are the people who are very interested in innovation, but they don't want to be the first one involved. So they are like the people who take the word of the innovators, or, you know, just the basic, the little bit of reviews and information about it. They take that, and they're not completely as daring as the innovators. They're not just going to try it based on nothing. They want a little bit of information first, but they don't want to be the first ones involved. Now, the early adopters are the ones who are respected by others in the community and looked to as opinion givers. So this is usually what marketers will target first, like the people who are celebrities, or someone who, if they like this product and they say, hey, this is a great product or innovation or whatever, you should try it, the rest of the population will be heavily influenced by that, and they'll be like, hey, this person thinks this is great, I'm going to go buy it too. Following the early adopters is the early majority. This group of people may be interested in the innovation, but need some external motivation to get involved. So these people, along with those in the late majority, make up the largest groups. The early majority is about 34%, and the late majority is also roughly 34% of the population. The early adopters are the ones who listen to the opinions and ratings and reviews of the product that is given by the celebrities or the people who are looked to and highly valued as opinion givers. And they say, hey, that's a great idea because this person said so, and they will adopt the innovation or product. The late majority comprises of people who are skeptical, and they will not adopt an innovation until most people in the community have done so. So they'll see a giant display in the grocery store of it and say, okay, well, this is getting pretty big now, or they had never seen it before, they had never looked into it before. You know, what's the newest, coolest thing on the market? They'll just buy it because they see it being popular in the community, like in a giant display in a grocery store or something like that, and they will think, well, because this is a thing that a lot of other people are doing and this seems to be working, I'll get on board with it too. The laggards, who make up about roughly 16% of the population, are the ones that are the last to get involved in an innovation, if they get involved at all. So these are the people that are the hardest to reach and get them to adopt the innovation because they're very skeptical, or maybe they are in an area where it's very hard to market to them, like it's very hard to get knowledge of this thing to them and let them know that this is a thing. That makes up about roughly 16% of the population, and those are the people who are the last to adopt an innovation, or they don't adopt it at all. Now, what's really cool about this theory is it applies to everything in like marketing or like, so I work with this amazing product called Celox that stops bleeding and should be in everyone's first aid kit. And just learning about this theory, this bell-shaped curve, this model, was so cool to me to learn about, because if we want to market this product to people, we should, learning about the early adopters and the people whose opinion really is valued by other people and they'll give good reviews of it. Just learning about that and learning about, the psychology of, what tends to happen when you put an innovation on the market and how to market it and so on and so forth. So there you go. There's just some examples of specific models and theories in different categories that are different approaches and things that people will use to explain behavior and try to encourage change, encourage healthier behavior, and things like that. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves and staying happy, healthy, and hydrated. And I will see you in the next episode of my series called Hello Health. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.